Who do we have
let's
here?
bring
This
Bri
lovely
in. Bri
woman.
King joined us, and she does pretty much every other week. Always love having her here with us for the local real estate update and updating real estate as a whole. It's funny. I was watching Barbara. Is her name Barbara Cochran from Shark Tank?
Yes.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
And she was talking about interest rates and how they affect the housing market and but she was talking about how like 1 percentage point can skyrocket home sales.
Literally.
Yeah, yeah. I
So if
thought
you
that
could
was
pull me a favor,
interesting.
Joe, that would be great.
But in all sincerity, and we don't think of it that way, you just they're going up, and I'm gonna have to pay more, and I'm gonna have to do this. But she was talking about that in over the years, literally as it's at a high interest rate, all of a sudden it drops a point. It's a big deal, isn't
Well,
it?
also if they go up. And so the last, you have to figure, we dropped down about a half a point since Monday. And that is huge. We're talking about, $350 worth of buying power within a week. So rates fluctuate on a daily basis. So when you lock your rate, once you get into escrow is key. Paying attention to what's going on a daily basis just truly makes a difference.
And how long again did you say that lock-in is good for? 90 days or?
Well, it gets more expensive the longer it goes. So
Okay.
typically you can do, a 15, 30, 45, 60, 90-day lock. But the
Okay.
longer it is, the more you pay. So
Okay.
The you talked about buying down the rate, and some of the developers have actually been talking about buying down rates.
yes.
How does that work? How does
Okay.
it exactly?
So I love this question and I love this idea because it really helps people out. So you can do what's called a 2-1 buy down, or you can buy down like a point, for example. And so 1% of your loan value will drop you down about 3/4 of a point. The rates, again, the programs vary on a daily. But that will save you if you do a 2-1 buy down, for example, on $1 million home. Let's say you ask the seller for a $25,000 credit. Year one, it drops your payment by 2%. So
Okay.
you let's say today the interest rate's at 6.25 on FHA. So if they credited you 25,000, that would go year one you'll be at 4.5%. Year two it goes up to 5.5, and then year three all the way through 30 it's going to stay at 6.5 unless you refi.
Okay.
Now the cool thing is that I love if you refi within those first 2 years, because let's hope the rates go down in
Yeah.
December like they're promising. Then you would go ahead and refi, and you'll get that money back off of your principal when you refi. So if you didn't use that extra $10,000 in year two, it's going to come back to you off of the principal.
Okay. And if it doesn't go down, what?
Well, you have to qualify at that 6.5%.
Okay.
So that's where
Okay.
we're a little smarter than we were back in 2005. So that's good.
Okay, good.
And variable loans as opposed to locked in loans. I know there's a lot of conversation around whether you bite the bullet and just lock your rate in or you go with the variable. I
You know
mean,
what's funny is the variable is not much cheaper. So it's like just stick with the safer path. You never know.
Yeah.
Nothing's promised. So I always lean on the conservative side when it comes to finances. I've seen bad things happen.
Me
So-
too. I'm too crazy. I couldn't keep up with. I was talking to someone about moving to Texas, and there's advantages, and then the disadvantages is your property taxes change. They could change every year.
Every state has something different, right?
There is advantages and disadvantages. I'd rather have high California than changing, rates all
And we
the
don't
time.
have to hide from tornadoes in the morning.
that's
There's lots of
true.
pros and
Oh,
cons.
That's
no, but
true.
we shake, rattle, and roll at times.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm heavily insured, so I'm ready for the next one.
You grew up in California, right?
I did, yeah, my
Yeah.
whole life. So 94 was, still fresh in my mind.
My wife grew up in Florida, so the first year she went through here, she was like, "What? What's happening? What is
going
that?
on?"
The truck
Yes.
go by the house? No, just get in the doorway and wait."
Right.
We were just talking to a roofing and solar panel guy.
Yes.
Do you think in the future there's going to be requirements that home sellers have to put solar in or accommodate for that? Or
So
how's
new
that gonna
builders
work?
do as of right now, but I think it would be hard pressed to have a seller accommodate that, mainly because you have so many options. You can lease solar, you can buy it outright, you can finance it. You need to make sure that it's transferable upon sale. So it takes a seller, a homeowner, about 4.5 years to break even on that investment, running about, let's say on average, $40,000, depending on how many panels you get. So I don't think it would be fair. For example, the exact same house with owned solar versus non-owned solar, you're not getting a $40,000 return on investment. So I wouldn't, even though you figure you're going from a $500 a month electric bill down to negative $18,
Sure.
it's worth every penny.
Sure.
But you want to buy it for yourself.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, what are some other tips that you can give somebody who wants to sell their house to just put them ahead of the game? And
I would say even if you're looking to move 6 months from now or 6 days from now, get your realtor over. I'm happy to come by and point things out, because a lot of times sellers think, oh, I need to do this or I don't need to do that. And silly things like if you have trees that are touching your roof line, an inspector's going to call that out, because when those trees blow, they move your roof tiles around. So silly little things just to get ahead of that, so it's not a last minute headache,
Sure.
is really key.
Yeah, they need to look through it through your eyes instead of
Yes.
their own eyes. They're going, I need to paint lime green. I love lime green. No, you need to get the roof, the
We
leaves
just
off the
took
roof.
about 3 weeks. My husband's a contractor, so we own prime real estate and prime construction. So he brought his crew in on a house we have on the market in Canyon Country. I put it on last week. We're in multiple offers already. And he went in, painted literally lime green walls. We made them all Swiss coffee, and she shows
Thank you.
beautifully now.
Yes.
But if I would have left it as is, to be honest, we'd still be on the market. So you just need to make things back to neutral if
Yeah.
you can.
Don't look at it through your eyes.
When we bought our house, I swear the woman took Pepto-Bismol and just blew it up in every room.
Yes.
The walls were pink. Everything was pink.
I love it.
And
I do love
walked
it.
in,
You said pink's coming back, the tile.
The pink square
Pink tile
tile
in
is
the
back, believe it
bathroom,
or not.
but
But
not
That's like
walls.
1952, right?
Yeah.
it is.
I mean,
It's
seriously.
amazing.
It's vintage.
But the first thing my wife did was she looked at me as I was walking around. She goes, "Relax, we can paint this place."
Absolutely.
But some people don't have that vision. They're just seeing the way it is, even with your furniture. And if you have too much and they're going, oh, this room is awful small. No, the room has just too much junk in it.
We need to scoot some things around.
To scoot some things around.
But I like what you said a few minutes ago, and I think people don't think of that. We're proactive in a lot of things in our life, but if you're sitting down, my wife and I've sat down in the past, say, where are we going to be? What are we going to be doing? It wouldn't be a bad idea to call you and say, come on in. We're not doing this next week. We may
Right.
not do it in 6 months, but this year looks like the year we're going to move. What do we need to do?
Even if it's 2 or 3 years out, I've had folks where I've just come over and said, you know what, put the money in the primary bathroom, not in the kitchen, or don't bother with the landscaping, or actually, you know what, redo that fence instead of painting. Little things like that are going to make such a difference in resale value, because I work with buyers and sellers 50-50, so I'm used to hearing what the buyers notice first,
Sure.
and they see it much differently than a seller does. So very interesting in that sense.
Yeah, I know. That was that was one of those lights that went off. Wow. Okay. Yeah. To have somebody come in ahead of time and tell you what it is that they're going to be doing. The other thing I found out recently was that because it's tax time and we have a tax guy on the show, a lot of people think that their repairs and what have you, they're all tax deductible, and they're not. But when you go to sell the house, you really need to track the capital improvements you've made, right?
Right, they come off of your basis, exactly. So if you're single, obviously you're tax exempt up to $250,000, and then married as a couple, $500,000.
We're
Once you rent it, then you can write off all that good stuff, right? If you're renting your home.
Usually the renters don't do a whole lot of upgrades and repairs, though,
I mean,
because
the,
it's not
the
theirs.
owner.
Oh,
the owner
yes,
can
yes,
write
you can
off
depreciate that every year,
right,
for
right,
sure.
right,
That's why it's good to
okay.
hold rentals.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm learning. So between you and Chris Dick, who comes in here, on some of the stuff
repairs
that
the
needs to
roof.
be done, and people who do things backwards. He was talking about solar panels and roofs, and sometimes they go and do the roofs, and then the people do the solar panels. He's like, wait, whoa, whoa, whoa! Why don't you tell us what you want to do? We can put the
Yeah.
pieces in ahead of time, so that you're not redoing the work and paying twice for the same kind of work or what have you.
Right, and don't just put solar panels on an old roof either that need to be pulled off, because that'll run you $5,000 minimum just to pull off brand new
And then-
panels and reinstall them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
What's the pitch for buying real estate? I know some people. I even know a financier does not believe in real estate investments. I'm
Really?
like, okay, I'm not hiring you as my financier.
But it's so cool since COVID to own a house.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's a
Wow.
good investment, right?
I mean, I love that it's a tangible asset. And for me, I have 5 boys and I want a roof over their heads, and I don't necessarily want them moving back in with me if they need to.
Exactly.
So having some houses, you think about it, if you pay off your primary residence and you have a couple of rentals, you're technically semi-retired.
Sure.
That you don't need to make a whole lot of
daughter
money.
does,
And
yeah.
then you have the depreciation on the tax side of things. So as long as you can afford to hold it, you're not trying to flip it overnight. I think
Right.
you're going to be just fine in the long run.
Yeah.
And you got an open house this weekend anywhere?
I always do, absolutely. I just put a house on Old Orchard 2 yesterday. It's already under contract, 65,000 over list.
Stop.
So we are
Really?
hopping.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, things have to be priced right and show pretty. We're staging again, which we didn't need to a year ago, but now it's the emotional tie. Not all buyers have the room to put 20% down and then do upgrades. That's really part of the problem. It's not that
Right.
we don't love your pink carpet, it's just we can't afford to replace it right off the
Right,
bat. And that's where it makes it a little tougher to make that decision.
So are you one of those people that I walk in the house and it smells like cookies baking and this.
I do try, Joe.
Yeah,
I do try. Not everyone follows my lead, but when they do,
napkin
man, it turns out
hold.
well.
It does. All
I've
that
read
stuff
these.
matters.
I've read these stories about real estate agents that will do that. They try to create
Yeah.
a smell of hominess, if you
But
would.
you've got to
Napkin
make
hose
sure
playing in the background.
make sure the oven's clean before you turn it on,
Ooh,
and you don't want to
yes.
burn those cookies because it'll work the other way.
Oh, that's true, huh?
That's
And
all.
another little trick that means a lot is clean your windows.
Yes,
Isn't that
such
weird?
a difference. We've had so much rain this year.
Yes.
You
Clean
can
your
see
windows. Your
out.
house
Another
is
thing too is if you have heavy tint on your windows, believe it or not, it makes the house seem like it's not light and bright, and it
dark.
really is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I went
People
out
like
to a buddy's
natural
house a couple of
lighting.
weeks ago, and he lives over by Bouquet and Plum, but and I guess his house might have been like a '70s home. I think he still had shag carpet, a couple of rooms. I mean,
That's not back yet.
it looked like a '70s thing with the dark paneling and stuff like that. But dude, really,
But if he painted that paneling white, it's back in.
Right.
You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Right. You're right.
we'll go for a quick break. We come back, we'll finish up. You're listening to Trending SCB here on KHTS, AM 1220, FM 98.1. We're talking real estate with Bri King. Be right back.
Well, welcome back. We're back. Hey, Joe, we're back.
Yeah, like a
And-
bad rash. We never really go away. We're just kind of there.
That's right. You guys are listening still to Trending SCB with Sonia Schmidt
And Joe Messina.
and our guests.
And Bri King.
We're talking real estate here.
We let's do the traffic and the weather, and then yeah,
Want to do that?
sure.
Go.
So, wow, not
Go.
like throwing it to me. All right. Anyhow, it actually took it better out there. The southbound 14 freeway looks like it's wide open again, and things are moving really well. We're back up to speed to like 40, 45 miles an hour. Once you get down into Newhall Pass, it's a little slowing in the Newhall Pass on the 14 freeway southbound, but it looks like it's a car needing assistance. They've got it off to the right shoulder. The southbound 5 freeway is a little slow going into Newhall Pass, but again, stop looking at construction because there's nothing else there slowing you down. So just keep moving. There's people behind you that need to get to work. So 5 freeway southbound, once you get to the 5405, it looks like, again, like it's wide open and things are really moving. So as we move into the end of the 8 o'clock hour, it looks good. Now, again, in the valley, I say this all the time, around the schools, I see a lot of red streets, which tells me there's a lot of traffic dropping your kids off at school. As Sonia likes to say, know what?
Kid smushing. Don't smush no
don't be
kids,
smooching.
man.
Yeah, don't be looking.
It's not good. It won't look good on your permanent record.
But you're watching your kid go into the front door. That's great, but there's kids behind you and darting between cars. So be careful, because I've heard too many stories about kids getting bumped or hit or what. Maybe not seriously, but
My kid didn't even know how to cross the street by herself till she was 10 because she'd never been anywhere by herself, and I didn't realize that we were keeping her from learning how to cross the street.
All right, next
Well,
one's
the
yours.
weather is lovely. It's 81 degrees high today, 53 low. Tomorrow it'll be a high of 83. Then Saturday and Sunday, 86 and 85. So it's all looking good.
Be in the 90s. I told you what I was going to do, right? I'm going to sit
Wear
behind
your
the
halter
French
top and a
doors
hoop skirt.
on a lounge chair, and I'll put my bathing suit on, and I will look at the pool because then I don't have to sit out in the heat.
Why don't you get in the pool, Joe?
Oh God.
Mess up your hair?
Yes.
Want to get your makeup messed
I
up?
always joke, my grandkids will come over the house and they leave, and then they hear I'm in the pool later on. I go, what? They say, why are you going to the pool after we're gone? I said, because you guys make me tired. You're jumping all over
Oh,
me
I know. Kids in the pool.
and constantly trying to get, yeah, right. And other reasons. But anyhow,
Uh-oh.
yeah.
I don't want to know.
So anyway, we've got Bri King. Bri, 25 years. I was just looking at some information of yours. And I said to Sonia, what did you start when you were 7.5? I mean,
Thank you. Yes, actually, when I was 16, I got a job
okay.
as a junior loan processor. So I learned the loan side, then became a transaction coordinator. And then as soon as I turned 18 and was old enough, I got my real estate license and became a notary public. And then for 11 years, I've been a broker.
Wow.
So,
That means you can help your buyers and sellers through all phases of this thing, or at least give them advice on where to find the advice.
oh, absolutely. And I'm learning. I mean, obviously, every day there's something new and something different that's intriguing in the real estate world. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun though. That's
Very
for sure.
good. Very good.
yeah. So again, I was telling you about a story about one of my kids and saying that, there's a mindset. Some financial advisors would say if you have a solid place to be, but you can afford a piece of real estate, put money down on what have you, Go buy it and rent it out. Let somebody else build your equity. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I love that idea. Like I was saying before, with my boys, I certainly would rather than pay for college, I'll let them pay for it themselves like I did, or get themselves a scholarship, and I'll help them get their foot in the door with owning some real estate. That way they always have a roof over their head and somewhere to go back to. That's tangible. That's a beautiful thing.
Right.
Real
And
estate is
how many agents at your
I
brokerage?
have 8 agents at Prime Real Estate. So we've actually been open. We're going on our 3rd year. So we're very
Wow.
excited. We're a family-owned boutique brokerage right on Town Center Drive, and we give 10% of our proceeds back to local charities and nonprofits. So we're very proud to be a part
Yes,
of our
you do.
community.
Your ears must be burning because people talk about how much you contribute to the
Yeah,
community all the
that's
time.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so
and
much.
not only just that, but some people it's easy to write the check. It's fairly easy to write the check, but you're actually involved with these people too.
Right.
They know who you are. You're involved with what's going on.
Absolutely. I was in Bras for a Cause with Sir Optimist. It's going on about 8 years now. And so, the thing is, those charities start to rely on us. And so when you're working for something bigger than yourself, you really can't take your foot off the gas because,
Yeah.
They're depending on you.
yeah,
They are.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
Very
it's
good.
yeah, it is a big deal. Big deal. And I wish we would do at the high schools. I wish we would do more things to expose the kids to what's going on out there, like Bras for a Cause and other things that we have going on here in town.
I didn't realize that this was around really until I was in my 30s. And to understand that, like, Henry Mayo is a nonprofit organization. Who knew? It's our only hospital here.
Sure.
And to know that they need, assistance too with, like, we sponsor for the women's and newborns units. There are certain things that they need to be on top of their game for us.
Yeah.
Now I know I'm going to get in trouble with the women in town over this, but I always hear when I try to get people involved in school stuff, they'll always say to me, well, look, we're trying to raise our kids, we're trying to do this, we're trying to do that, and I say, would you want to raise your kids in a good community? Because to raise your kids in a good community, you have to be involved in the community.
Right.
And I'm not just saying this because you're here, you're part of the show, but you are involved in the community. You are raising kids. You have a bit. So it can be done. It just depends on what level of effort you want to put into
Sure.
it to get it done.
Well, the way I look at it is it shows the boys that they need my kids. I explain what we're
Yeah.
doing. I say, this is why we give back. These are people who need assistance. Circle of Hope, helps local families that are affected by cancer. I lost my mom to pancreatic cancer when I was 21 years old.
Wow.
And you don't understand the magnitude of that until you're in it yourself. And so for me to now be able to help others that are in that position and to explain to the kids, we're very blessed. My kids are happy and healthy. That's all that matters. I don't need another thing. But to be able to give back, that's really what it's all
great.
about.
It's a great attitude.
All right. Somebody wants to get a hold of you. I'm going to sell my house in 4 years, so help me out.
Just go to the grocery store. I'm on the shopping cart.
Okay, right? I can't.
That's right.
Not that I can't stand it, but every time I look around, you're on those little separators, and you're on the
sticks.
cart, and you're on the.
Perfect.
I try to not go to
Smart.
those places. It's super awkward. People look at me like, is that her? What's she buying? So, no, but you can reach me at, if you go to briking.com, that'll take you right to my cell phone number. I'm available 7 days a week.
Okay, that's
Perfect.
great. All right, Bree, thanks for being with us. Appreciate
It's
your time
always
and
my
your
pleasure.
insight.
Absolutely.
All right.
She knows everything. What?
I'm
No,
not going to argue.
I like that. I think that's a
I've
good
got 2
thing.
daughters. I'd never argue with.
No, you want to go to
I
somebody
got-
who is well
Yeah.
informed and knows what they're doing.
When you've been around that long and you know the you know the
Yeah,
community,
you know
you
the
love the
community.
community, you're involved in the community.
Can't get better than that.
I can't. Yeah. I mean, seriously. All right.